Here's winking at you, kid. Hey guys, welcome back to Vision Prototypes. I'm Nick, if you're new to our channel, and next to me here we've got the 1963 Thunderbird that we're customizing. If you're just tuning into the channel, never seen anything on this car before, contrary to what your eyes are telling you, yes, this is a 63 Thunderbird that we've done a lot of work to. Here's the scoop. We've shortened that rear trunk lid. We had to do that because we shortened the rear of the car 2 1/4 inches. Rear quarters, made adjustments on those, re-arched the wheel arches, took that roof, lowered it 1 1/4 inches, gave it a chop. Doors, we got rid of those fake vents. I don't know why they would have stuck fake vents on the door. To vent what? Front fenders, we've put vents into those. We've made some modifications at the front, streamlined them, smoothed them out. Front bumper, last episode we did a lot of work to this to get this more streamlined. They had this big bar through here and we've kind of eliminated that. We're gonna not do this. This was just something that Fabricating Elves decided to amuse me with. Now as for this hood, we've now made it a front flip hood to allow easier access to the engine, kind of like the baby birds and the one after, the generation after that, the square birds. We haven't done much to the exterior, and I don't want it feeling left out. So we're going to do some work to that scoop. Make a few little adjustments. Nothing serious, just a little bit. Now a lot of people are talking about the eyebrows, running this straight across the front to cover up the tops of the headlights. Not sure yet. Once I see the new lines up there, then we're going to get maybe into that. Now right now, these are looking a little bug-eyed, a little surprised. We'll get into that maybe at the end of this episode in terms of a mock-up, or in the next episode when we're actually mocking up, fabricating, and doing all that stuff. It works well as a brush, yeah. Let's get into this with this. If you don't mind holding it for a second, we're going to drop the car. I'm going to lay out a few little lines here, and I'm just debating whether I should tell you what we're going to do or surprise you. I think I'll surprise you. Let's take one last look before we get into this. And don't get me wrong, this is a little intimidating to be cutting up a pretty decent hood. A couple things going on, lows and highs have to be worked out. But overall, it's rust free and nobody's been jumping on it. Hopefully nobody screams. Let's get cutting. Okay, so the perimeter has been cut all the way around.
I'm shocked.
Now we just need to separate the hem at the back. Might be a few spot welds and maybe some adhesive to the structure underneath. Let's open up this hood and take a look from the underside. I can hear it moving and I can see daylight for the most part. We have to make sure that everything is loosened up. Did I cut the structure? No, look at that. No cuts, perfect. Didn't cut it there either, but there is adhesive, so I need to separate that. And up at the top here, I need to open this up and make a cut without cutting the structure. We will have to modify the structure a bit because it just falls just this side of that carburetor, so we may need to do some work up in there. So let me jump in, do the hard work, get that hem separated, and then I'll bring you guys in to help me lift that scoop off. Okay guys, so gone ahead, drilled out these spot welds here. This actually held it down to the structure. On the underside, they had adhesive holding the skin to the structure. So played the propane torch on a little bit, warmed it up just enough. And up at the top there, you can just see it. I've made a few little cuts to the hem without cutting the structural hem, or the structural part there. I'll get you guys on the tripod and let's see what it says. Okay, so far so good. Okay, all these cuts are good. Now he's going to work it off the hem. It's off. Holy moly, what a hole. Check this out. Oak leaves inside the structure. Who would have figured? Well, now I gotta pick that up. So you can see this is a huge hood, and that's why they've designed all this structure into it. We can't lose this or that. Otherwise, it's turned into a big wet noodle and, well, it's never going to open and close properly or as well as it did before we cut it. So that's something you have to be mindful of if you ever attempt something like this. I wouldn't. It's crazy. Wow, those hinges are almost a little bit, they're dry, but a little bit too much for this, so we need the weight on there. Now, why did I close this? This is protective cardboard here, just so the dash doesn't get damaged. I've got the dash bolted in. That's fantastic because after all the work we did to the roof, lowering it down, the original bolts work. Let's open this back up, and I'm going to throw in this cowl vent. That's my cowl vent installation noise. Okay, close enough. Let's try this again. Boy. Oh, me likey that a lot. Cowl vents, I detest them. I know a lot of cars have them or had them, but when I was a kid, it was my job to clean them and sand them prior to paint. If you didn't, paint wouldn't stick, and that's the first place things would kind of start peeling up. You know, when you wax your car, all the wax gets down inside there back in the day, and you know, that was just a troublesome spot. So in this case, we're going to just fill that in. Same with the wiper holes, because the wiper is going to come in underneath that cowl vent piece. Let's throw this scoop up. I'll show you what we're planning to do. Right there. That's where it's going. Right there. 6 inches. I don't know if anybody saw that earlier. Which means we have to do some work on that structure. Yep. Now, 2 reasons we're doing this. First, carburetor height. Second, that's a functional thing. Second, cosmetic. I've been standing next to this car long enough and studying it, looking at it, and have that feel if this hood comes down, or the scoop comes down, or came down a tad too far. It rolled down this way. And it just, as a scoop, you want to be more upright. I've got the filler piece that goes in there. So we get to use all the original trim, like that. And this used to be sitting down here. You see what I mean? It was down, just sloping down too much. And here, picked it up, like that. Let's actually do a side-by-side comparison. That's where it's going to be. At the back, you can see we've gained a little bit of height. I might actually come up, no, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna blend, I was gonna come up a little bit more. I don't want this to be too aggressive. You know, you think hood scoop and then people go crazy. We're gonna blend that right in probably 1 inch. Like I said, I'll measure 6 inches there. Leave about 1 inch space at the back here so it fades off, peters out. We're gonna fill that in. Some of you might be wondering why I made my cuts in this particular area. First off, I made it just above this bottom radius and just below this top radius. Heck of a lot easier to finish than cutting it back in here and sliding it back in terms of controlling warpage in this panel. This area here, I cut it as close as I could to this reveal, again, to control this flange, the shape of the flange, so we don't lose that shape. Even look at that, it's all cut out and it still fits really well. We'll have to put a piece in here. And as for here, well, we had to transition from the front to the side, and this area here we can get in there with no structure in the way and metal finish that. So it's a little bit of a cheat method to do it on a bit of a radius instead of a flat panel. Same, say if you cut a door, so you had to replace this area here, make a cut just below that radius there. You preserve the radius, you have some sheet metal to work with, and you can blend right there. That's just an example, we're not gonna be cutting that. All right guys, so here's the game plan. This structure needs to move back 6 inches. How we do that? Well, that's the fun part. Sure, we can go ahead and cut, slide it back, and then try to find a way to blend it all in together so it looks factory. You could leave it out. That's another option, but you know me. If we come into the underside here, if we take and slice, starting up here all the way down, cut down to about there, then cut on that side of the hinge, same as over there, and then the same up there. Cut that whole center section out, cut those 2 front braces just at the front there, and take that whole X plus 2 legs member and slide it up 6 inches. That'll give us a factory appearance as well as fit the new location for the scoop. Things kind of snowballed, but that's okay. bit of a challenge to get this out because we have plating on the top side here between this and the skin. So I had to drill out some more spot welds. With all that removed, the hood is still very solid up here, very rigid. I need to get rid of this caulking here, clean all that off, treat all the metal, all that stuff. But biggest thing is get the caulking off so we can get this thing situated and mocked up. You can see up in here the plates for the old hinge mounts. I'm not going to bother taking them out because we're going to use that for the new latches. Let's slide this up into place. Oh, one other thing. I'm working on this, it might be a little bit difficult, but I'm working on this suspended from the hinges. If I took this thing unbolted, laid on the bench, there is a chance that this could flatten out. I'll lose the shape I need. So I'm leaving it in the upright position. It's not going anywhere. Get all this taken care of, clean all this, get this up into place, and tack it in this position so that we don't lose the shape. The front, I'm not concerned about the width or anything. This is a very structural beam, a very heavy structural beam, same as the front, so we're not going to lose the shape that way, but the middle. Let's mock this up into place. Oh, I can't really. I need to take and cut off 6 inches off the end, but that's going to go right up into there like that. So let me take care of this on the bench, get it all ready, and then we'll bring you guys in when we go to tack all this back together. Might seem like a lot because it is a lot, but if you plan ahead of time, don't just start butchering, then it should turn out pretty good. Got the underside cleaned, primed, these areas primed. I'm not going to bother doing anything else on the outside yet. I want to get this tacked in place, and then we can get this hood off once it's restructured into a more comfortable area to finish and detail everything else. Some work down at the front after. So let's see how this goes. Has to fit in a very precise location right there. So if I can nail that, I'm still picking up that structural plate on the inside too. So I don't want that chattering around when you're driving. When somebody's driving. Watch your eyes. Okay. If I can pin it, that'd be great. Now, thought I brought some needle nose right here. That's got to go up like that. Okay, so that's 2 spots. Three. 4. Well, that wasn't easy, but it's tacked in place. These areas here need to be filled in, obviously. This needs to be radiused in yet, but a lot of that can be done when I'm a little more comfortable, and that's sitting on this engine. V8 in a motorcycle. Interesting concept. All right, let's very carefully and uniformly close this. Maybe I should get the vice grips and the ground off. There. I might need those vice grips later. I'm not going to push on this structure. It's going to push on the hood. Nice. Wow. Moment of truth. I need to get the spacers back there set up. Wow, wow, wow. I had a tape measure. Oh, hello. That's better. By rights, I should be able to, if everything's done properly, line up these spot welds at the front with the structure and reattach it. I've painted it, so it's hard to see right there. Oh, 6 inches. Uh-oh. She's a hungry bird. Few minutes of planning. Check this out. It's all come together. Before I put this on, I have to remember to work out those dents over there. This dent here, I can get to that right through this hole, make it easy to fix. I need a light. Let's shine some light on this. Lots of room. You know what? By pushing that up, restructuring this, we might be able to go down with the back a little bit. Ooh, right there. We're only putting in a 1/2 inch strip here. So there we have it. I'm going to shape up a piece of sheet metal to go into here. Just go back slightly behind this cut line and rest this on top before we get too far into working the sides in. Right now, we're a little bit low, right there. And the space that I want at the back, because this is low, it's making that look a bit funny. It's like it's tapering wider. You know, some people might like that look. I want to try to retain what the Thunderbird had, just a little higher. So this is going to get us in the ballpark, and we can fine tune after the fact. Good. Let's very carefully remove this and trim it out. I've been curious for a while to know what gauge exactly this is. It should be 19. It is vintage. We'll see. It's 19. 19. Okay, so I've got about the thickness of a Sharpie and extra width. I'm going to rescribe this to the exact opening instead of using cardboard now. Most of the shape is there. We'll trim it and it'll just fall right into place. Literally fall through unless we clamp it. And then we'll bring that in, line it up and start tacking everything together. I can't forget to address that dent as well as those two up there. Sometimes you get into it and you forget little things. It's easy right now to fix. Later I need to grow longer arms to replenish those things out. And no, it's not physically possible to grow longer arms, in case some of you might be wondering. Sometimes it's the setup that takes a little bit longer. But once we're there, the rest will flow in really well. Oh no! The magnet stuck. That's the problem with magnetic microphones. Pardon me. There we go. So we have a little bit around the radius to take off. A little bit there, hardly anything. Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, and just a little bit there. So let me trim it up, bring it in, we'll clamp it, start tacking it. Now, this is a little bit, it's not bad there, that's looking good there. This peak is a little bit high. I think we can adjust that once it's tacked in place. All right, let's line up our marks. Alright guys, so it's been a few hours and I've got the structure of the hood, the part that we moved rearward, welded. Also got this hole filled, got everything mocked up. And back here, filled in the old wiper holes on both sides, the antenna hole. For those people who are just tuning in, this car is going to have hidden wipers. They're going to go in underneath this cowl panel here. We're going to weld this cowl panel to the hood. And to do that, that's going to be a bit tricky because you can't just weld the two together. You'll never metal finish it nicely. You need to take and cut off the part that drops down. Oops. That part there. We need to unroll the hem from here to here because, well, this hem has been removed, this part of this now. And we'll have to bring them together, weld it, and then create reinforcements that extend back to pick up this wing so it doesn't break off. I got the scoop mocked up again. This is going to flow right into here. So we'll have to put a strip all the way through up to the front there. I've been kind of peeking through the hole here. And we have enough clearance for our carburetor. But this structure I mentioned earlier has to be moved back. So we're going to have to reconfigure the structure in such a way that it flows in back here. On these ends, this side and that side, we're going to incorporate latches, or up on the door there, over there, that will attach to the structure and to the cowl and latch together. That structure has been primed. I need to prepare the underside of this and prime that as well. So there's going to be a little bit of leapfrog happening. Probably take care of that first, throw some primer on it, let it set up, dry, cure. And then while that's happening, I'll work on the other areas. And I'll bring you guys in once things are more or less joined up, just, you know, on tacks, so that we can at least open this hood up and continue restructuring some of that up there. The other thing I've done, see that piece of box tubing that goes from side to side? That is a crucial piece as a temporary brace, so that when we cut that structure back there apart, this hood just doesn't open up. Like, I'm sure this X brace that we have here is enough, but that's just a little bit of extra reinforcement to hold everything together. Let's just say it's getting lighter and nothing budged. We cut the structure back there and those wings are right where they have to be. This piece here is very delicate right now. Yeah, I'm not going to put that in yet. I need to do some more prep work. I'll get all this ready, lined up, probably on a few tacks just to hold things in place. Then we'll figure out what we got to do next. There aren't any written instructions as to how to cut up a hood, move the scoop back 6 inches and redo the structure. You just kind of, you have a vision in your head and you kind of work towards it. But you got to think at least one step ahead, maybe 2 if you can. I'm terrible at thinking ahead. My dad, 12-dimensional chess, very good at that. So I kind of sort of changed my mind. We're going to show this part here as to how everything comes together. It's a big piece of the puzzle. Biggest thing is to make sure that we're lining up this way, you know. And from over there, I was looking, and this doesn't look too bad anymore with that red oxide primer. It looked a bit funny. Cleaned up. Things are shaping up well. I'm going to put some really quick tacks on here. Just line it up a little bit. A couple tacks. I need to check the surfaces because this hood is one level, one plane, and this kind of starts climbing up into the wiper area. So we have to make sure that all this works out. We don't want to, boom, you know, if the hood is flat, it's good to about here, and then we have to bring this up. But right now, it's like a floppy noodle. Just everything's moving around. So as long as I line up the edges, a couple tacks, we'll be good to go. Oh, right there. That's what I wanted. All right, now to let this go after I got it lined up, and this is where I use the MIG when, you know, situations like this when I'm just cutting and pasting and getting things lined up. If I nailed it here instead of here, that's warm. That would have messed me up in terms of alignment. So let's just start bringing this down. So we're just going to use our feelers and just line things up. So that's why it's extremely important when doing something like this, you bring the edges of the sheet metal together. If we had, say, the hems returning down, you saw me cut it off, but if we had it returning down, we couldn't line them up very well. And then how do you finish the welded joint? You can't. Here, it's a butt weld. We can work it from both sides. Perfect. Now I'm a little bit low here, so that means I have to go in from underneath and bring that panel up. That'll be done later. Let's do that over there. So everything along this joint is lined up. I've established the curvature. We bring the scoop and start lining that up. The primer has dried. Bring that in like that. Now, I need to put some dollops of caulking, body caulking between the structure and the skin. Now, for those of you who have never really fabricated or want to get into fabrication, this kind of stuff takes time. Right, you see it on YouTube, I'm done in 40 minutes, 45 minutes, but it's all the other little extras before and after. Like, it'd be impossible for me to film everything. If we don't weld the structure to the scoop, just work the scoop in, get all the sheet metal work done around that, leave the structure free until this is planted, then we can push it down ever so slight and inject 2 dots there, blobs, and from the back there'll be enough space to get the tip in to take care of that. Then we bring this structure up into place and nail it. Because right now if we weld it to the structure, that structure is going to be fighting against the outside surface of the skin. This skin has to sit freely on its own. Right now it's diving down a little bit, you can see that, down and down. We need to bring that up, made it up with that. Perfect. All right, ladies and germs, let's go take a look and see what we've accomplished. First thing being that hood scoop is now part of the hood. It's on a series of tacks, yes, but we can call it one with the hood now. Second thing, we've pushed that hood scoop back to 6 inches, which I feel in this custom Thunderbird relates more to the earlier baby birds. Being further back on the hood, I think it looks a little bit better on this custom Thunderbird. And I'm walking from side to side, not sure if you guys can tell. See the way the hood climbs up to the scoop on the driver's side? And the way it climbs up on the right hand side. This is my left hand, but on the right hand side of the car. I think that's my left hand. Yeah, thumb on this side. Yeah, that's right. The back is almost coming together. We still have to do a little bit back there, but it just smoothed things out. Instead of being so flat across the back edge, It just increased the space above the carburetor that much more. I'll put up an original picture of the hood before we cut it and what we have now. It also increases the space for the wiper arms to tuck in underneath and hide below there. So give me a second, I'll throw the grill in. Now it's in two parts. We have this piece that will fit, look at that, like a glove. Wasn't distorted in any way, and it makes that hole in the front a little bit smaller. I've seen them where guys have gotten rid of this and made a big scoop in there. And we're kind of striving for the factory look, as though the Ford factory came up with a modified sports version. One more nut. All right, goes there, and we'll just pop this in. Well, that's interesting. There we go. Doesn't behave, you gotta bump it a little bit. That's not the right way. Okay. Voila. Wow, that looks cool. A little bit of hammer and dolly work to do there yet. Once I get all that welded up, then we'll take care of that. Yeah, let's move this, and get back. Now, looking from back here, if I didn't tell you, or if you didn't see with your own eyes that things were moved around, and you weren't too familiar with Thunderbirds, I think you'd have to admit that it looks factory. Beautiful. All right, so we'll get that grill out, get to work, start welding everything up, metal finish it, get those little rectangles installed back there, and get this hood skin finished. Because the structural stuff underneath, that's going to take some more finagling to get right. The center X brace, that's cool, we're good with that. It's that rear one that I need to make the adjustments on, and then blend into the back of the cowl piece that we put in. Okay, so I'll put this aside and get to work and start filling in the rest of this. Just checking the peak, make sure it's good, make sure everything's good from side to side. It shouldn't be an issue because everything lines up with our original cut lines, just a little bit further back. But I double check anyway. A lot easier to cut it apart now than after it's all welded. The edge of the hood, 20 and 15/16. 20 and 15/16. So how does this look from over there? Let me add one thing before we wrap up here. Check that out. Fits like a glove. All right, guys. Hood reassembled, hood scoop, hood, cowl piece, the vent piece that used to bolt in is now all one unit. Welded and almost metal finished. Let's have a quick look from back here. There's a little bit of work involved yet From the back side, I need to reach in, deal with that. This side is my wrong side, my left side, so I need to turn things around so I'm standing over there. Coming up to the front, the air filter, carburetor space. Let's have a look at that. So yeah, you can just, come on, focus. You can just see it past there. I've got a board and then a glove sitting on top. So we have plenty of space now for that air filter. We're not running with the original one. I want something sleeker and nicer inside to kind of showcase the engine more. And we're going to just dump the intake down here as well as on that side with a filter mounted in those locations. Anyway, that's later. Now I realize I skipped ahead from fitting, tacking, locating everything to right on finishing it. There's a lot of welding involved here. 3 feet times 2 because we had the band to put in 2 sides. That's 3, 6, no, 12. I can't even do simple math anymore. 12 feet, and then across the back, 15, and another 4, call it 20 feet of welding. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the reproportioning of this Thunderbird hood. If you've never seen a Thunderbird before and you saw this roll up on you, does it look factory or does it look cobbled? Give us a thumbs up if it looks factory. Still a little more hammer and dolly work involved to kind of correct a little bit on that side. This side's perfect. My arms just aren't working properly anymore. I don't want to create a bunch of dents on the edges of a dolly. If I swing just the wrong way, it'll create more work. It's really close. Little hammer and dolly. Pass a shrinking out disc over it one more time to tighten it up, and it's finished. Until next time, guys, take care. Hopefully we can get this thing wrapped. It's really close. Roll it outside, have a look at it from a little further than 6 feet away. Good night. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this channel with your friends.